Hello and welcome to all 117 of you, it looks like. So this is going to be a live workshop about how to build up and sell your business in 2024 or 2025 or 2026. That part doesn't really matter too much because the principles and the fundamentals are going to stay the exact same. So even if you are basically just starting your business, or whether you're kind of in the middle of it, or if you have a big business, this is going to apply to you because this is what you should be shooting for, in my opinion. So today we're going to focus on how to set up a business to make it easy to sell one day. You don't build wealth through having a hike, through making 50K or 100K or 200K a month. You get taxed, you spend it, you do all kinds of stuff with it. You really build a lot of personal wealth by creating a business that has equity and selling it one day. And this is, in my view, a fact of life that a lot of people get wrong. 99% of businesses aren't set up or functioning in a way that is sellable. So for most people, even if they have a successful agency or they have a successful B2B business, it really is nothing more than a high-paying job. My name is Matthew Larson, and I'm the founder of 1000X Leads. And a little bit about me before we really dive into it. I'm from Calgary, Canada. I've been in the marketing agency space for 12 years at this point, almost 13. And what I'm going to show you is going to apply to any agency or B2B business in any country, in any niche. Don't let your self-limiting beliefs get in the way. This will work for you if you apply it. I've sold 3 agencies before, including one last year that was 900K per month in revenue. So this live workshop is coming from experience, not what I read in a book somewhere. And I've never been screwed on an exit like many people I know, because I knew a lot of this stuff ahead of time. So the goal of this live workshop here, and it's going to last between 45 to 60 minutes. There's 3 primary goals: make you understand what makes a business valuable and sellable, give you a list of goals or objectives to achieve to make your business valuable, and act as a warning in terms of what not to do and what to watch out for. And if I can do all those 3 things, I think it'll be a pretty successful 45 to 60 minutes. There's going to be 5 parts in here. Number 1 is the mindset that you need to take with building your business. Number 2 is different ways to acquire customers. Number 3 is different revenue streams. Number 4 is leverage. And number 5 is, like I said before, what to watch out for, mistakes to avoid. So this live workshop can make you a ton of money one day and save you some very, very costly mistakes, like a lot of my friends and people that I know. One thing before we get started, that this is a live video, live workshop. It's not pre-recorded or scripted or edited. So it's the raw truth. It's not, it's meant to be more like a classroom type or a presentation type and less like a Hollywood movie script, like a lot of these videos you see where they're meticulously planned out for hundreds of hours beforehand. So in a few moments, I'm going to switch over to Miro board, which is what I'm going to be using for the rest of this live workshop. I have a few notes and a few bullet points, but that's going to be about it. So let's get started. I'm going to share my entire screen here. I'm going to get over to Miro board. So hopefully you can see this all right. You should see it all right. But there's 5 parts here. So we have our mindset, we have our different ways to acquire customers, we have our different revenue streams, our leverage, and our mistakes to avoid. So inside 1000X Leads or anything, like this is the marketing funnel that you should be building. And this marketing funnel, if you had all of this stuff I have on the screen, would make your business sellable and very valuable. And I'm going to go over that a few times. The second thing is leverage. I'll be going over that in part number 4. Who knows how long each part is going to last, to be honest, but leverage is going to be very important. So let's get started right at part number 1, which is the mindset. So it's very important to understand that the same things that make it valuable to a buyer are the same things that make it valuable to you as the owner. That's why they would want to buy it. If it wasn't valuable, why would they buy it in the first place? So these things are obviously revenue, profit, acquiring clients, generating leads, having different offers, all of that kind of stuff. So the key here, if you're watching this, is to think of it. The number one thing that makes it valuable, or the opposite makes it not valuable, is that it has very little risk. So what does that mean? Types of risk that's involved with a B2B business, a marketing agency type thing. So, for example, if all of your clients came from referrals, that is very risky for a potential buyer. If people are referring to you personally, they buy your company, and eventually if they buy your company, you're going to leave. Are they ever going to get any more clients again? Very, very risky. That's why even if your business is being built on referrals and it's growing, and that's great, referrals indicate that you're doing a good job. Still very risky in terms of building equity and trying to get rich. Very, very risky. Another thing that is pretty risky too, but not as risky as referrals, is let's say you hear a lot of these guys who talk about, all they talk about, they're like a broken record, is building a personal brand. Very good way to acquire clients, a little bit separate from referrals. I'm not saying it's not a great way to acquire clients, but if it's the only way that you acquire clients, your business is not sellable. You know, if all of the client acquisition is based on you, just like the referrals. So I'm not saying don't do this. It's one of the best things you can do, but I'm saying don't only do this. So let's go back to our mindset thing. So what do we want here? The first thing we want is more than one way to acquire clients. Do not rely solely on referrals and personal brand. What's the second way? Let's go back to our drawing. The second way is a lot of people, 99%, let's say, their only way they make money in their business is their recurring service or whatever their main service is. So that is the situation for most, and that makes sense, right? Like your main service is why you are in business. It's what you sell, all of that kind of stuff. However, this comes with risk. You know, if you have, let's just say 10 clients and they're all $10,000 a month, just to make super round numbers, that's $100,000 per month. If it's $100,000 per month, and that's $1.2 million per year, if at 30% profit margin, that's $400K per year. Let's just say that's true for a sec. It's $360K, but let's say there's $400,000 profit per year and a 3x multiple. That's $1.2 million is what that business may be worth. If we lose just 2 clients churn at any given point, our revenue is going from $100,000 per month to $80,000 per month. 20% of our money is gone. And this is bad for us, but it's also bad for the buyer. Because the number one rule of business is every client churns eventually. You hear these people say, well, my clients stay for 5 years. I'd probably say that's not true. But even if it was, everybody always churns eventually. So what we can do to eliminate a lot of this risk or reduce it as much as possible is to have different offers for different levels or different revenues of our overall market. The fact of the matter is when we're doing lead gen, like basically 99% of all of the leads we generate are going to be unqualified to afford this main recurring service. And that's just the situation for 99% of businesses. So we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We can make a lot more money and profit, but we can also reduce the risk by having a bunch of different offers like our low ticket digital products, $10 to $100 range. We can stuff our lead magnets and email flows with affiliate links. We can form referral partnerships with other agencies. Let's say someone comes to us and they need it, but they just can't afford it. We can refer it to someone cheaper and collect the fee. Or if we had a Facebook ad agency, for example, we could refer them to other services like Google Ads or SEO or email marketing or whatever. Or we could have a course for people who want to learn to do it themselves, which is always going to be 10 to 15% of the market, or a program. So that way, when we essentially, our main recurring service only becomes a small part, or not a small part, but only becomes 50% of our revenue, for example, instead of 100%. Now we're doing twice as much revenue because we have all this other stuff. From the example before, where it was 1.2 million a year, we can call that 2.4 now. And if 2 clients leave, that's going to be 240K per year. That's less than 10% now instead of over 20% of our profit. So it will lead to a much more resilient, much more stable business. So we'll write that down here. More than one revenue stream, way to monetize the target market. And in brackets, we'll put beyond just the typical main search. And then there's going to be one more thing. And I don't need to go back to the drawing for this, but I will. And that is your total revenue, your total profit. The lower your revenue is, the lower your value is going to be. See what profit. It's inherently less risky to buy a company that would be worth $1 billion than a company that's worth 100K, just because the offer is so proven and it's just so much more, product market fit is proven. We'll just leave it at that. So you always want to be doing more than 1 million per year in profit, or else the risk is going to be higher. So these are some things that we would want to consider, if you want to call it that, when we are building a company. We want to get as much revenue and profit and all the kind of stuff that you'd expect, but the main thing we want to do is reduce the risk for the buyer as much as possible. Just like you'd reduce the risk for a potential client, make them an offer they can't refuse. We also want to do the exact same thing for the acquirer of our agency. So let's move on. That's the number one mindset. So let's go to the different ways to acquire customers here. At the very top, a lot of people will have just referrals or something of this nature. And that's not even on here anywhere. You see referrals in the partnership section, but that's much more about like a formalized referral partnership with a different agency or a different app or stats than it is randomly getting referrals from your friends or clients. So there's 4 main ways that we can acquire customers. We can do it through paid ads, we can do it through content, we can do it through outreach, and we can do it through partnerships. The more of these that we have that are working, the less risk there will be. In addition to that, we want to do all of these. We don't just want to build a personal brand, or we don't just want to do cold email, or we don't just want to run ads, because each of these will make the other ones more effective. So let's do a couple scenarios here. If someone has seen your paid ads and clicked on them and downloaded your lead magnet, or someone follows you or watches your videos or does anything like that, they're much more likely to respond to your cold email than if someone has never heard of you before. That's just going to be the fact of the matter. Another situation is if someone is seeing your Facebook ads, for example, and they click on your profile and they see a bunch of valuable content there, they're going to be more likely to follow you, to click on the link, to take the action you want, to sign up, than if your profile was just there. Another, on the flip side of this, if someone's watching your YouTube videos all the time and you're just doing valuable content, that's great. They know you, they like you, they trust you. But if you start running paid ads on your own videos at a time, or just other people's videos too, now they understand your offer a lot more. So all of these are going to work together and make it much more effective. So let's go down to our different ways to acquire clients here. We want to do all 4 of the main customer acquisition methods. Each one makes the others more effective. More ways to acquire customers, like we said before, equals less risk to the buyer, and quite simply more leads and clients and money for us. So it's important to watch this live workshop, I would say, with the point of view that we don't necessarily have to sell the business if we don't want to. We can just keep it for ourselves and just make it more valuable for ourselves too. It's all about options. It's better to be able to sell it if you wanted to and choose not to than you not being able to sell it at all. So let's go back to my previous agency. I was able to build it from 0 to 900K per month in under a year. And like, these are some of the things that I add for it. So I was sending 20,000 cold emails per day. That's obviously going to get a lot of phone calls. Very good way to acquire clients. At my peak at least, and this doesn't happen all at once and it doesn't last forever, but I was spending $7,000 per day on my paid ads very profitably through a digital product funnel where I sold landing page templates. So at $7,000 per day spent, $100 for the templates, $70 customer acquisition cost, I was getting like 100 sales of my paid products per day, plus whatever came organically, which was not much in the grand scheme of things. So this would be like acquiring leads, very good qualified leads, because they've shown that they are willing to spend money. They're shown that they have a credit card that they'll pay $100. It's like acquiring leads for free, basically. And then I would upsell these people eventually to my main services. That's an example of that. So think about that. If you had a proven way to, do paid advertising that eventually gets clients, very, very good in terms of selling your business. Because paid advertising does not require me. I wasn't really even in the ads. They can just use my face, use my ads if they wanted to. It's not dependent on me, like a referral or even a personal brand. Adds a lot of value to the business. I touched on it before, but same with cold email. Other than my name, like at the bottom of the cold email, it doesn't rely on me at all. Anybody could be writing cold emails. They could use my name if they wanted to, and just basically grow the business that way. In addition to that, I had a bunch of white label partnerships. So a good way to think of these partnerships is, at my last agency, I sold landing pages in CRO, which stands for conversion rate optimization. So these were to Shopify stores and e-commerce brands. So basically, who needs landing pages besides the brands themselves? Well, the Facebook ad agencies that service the landing page isn't good. They're screwed too, right? They're going to lose their clients. Their ads are not going to work. So what I did was put a portion of my cold emails to Facebook ad agencies. And eventually I had 77 Facebook ad agencies, not overnight, of course, but I had 77 at the very peak paying me $5,000 per month to basically do unlimited landing pages for their clients each month on retainer, which is like 6 at the very most in reality. Unlimited sounds a lot better, but it was like 6. A lot of people, it was like a couple. So we can see there that if you have all of these different ways to acquire clients, very minimal risk for the buyer. My business is not built on referrals, not built on my personal brand. It was stuff that could run without me and therefore very valuable to a buyer. We talked about the different revenue streams already, but most people will go upwards of 99% only sell their main service. That is 100% of their income. This is fine and to be expected, but if clients leave, churn, it really reduces the value of your business. And then we could add something here is we should also have the following offers or revenue streams too. We should have paid products that are $10 to $100 range. You could say $1 to $100 range. $100 is kind of the cutoff in my opinion, because that's when someone doesn't, impulse buy it anymore. Affiliate links inside lead magnets and email flows to build MRR. Let's make this a little bit bigger so it's on one line. Course for people who want to learn to do it themselves. Program for people who want to do it themselves but want a little extra help. Referral partnerships with cheaper agencies and or agencies who will go with adjacent services. You do Facebook ads, for example, they need the Google ads and SEO, that kind of stuff. And then a one-time service intro offer that gets people to try you out for cheaper. And then you could always upsell them to the main stuff over time. It's not mutually exclusive. We don't need to draw any false dilemmas here. Someone can buy your product, someone can buy your course, and then down the line they can buy your service. It's not something that, we have to choose one or the other. So this here, and I'm going to put it here, this will massively increase, and we're going to go with the resilience and stability of your business. If one or two clients churn, it doesn't have a huge impact like it would otherwise. This is one of the best ways to reduce risk and get a higher multiple for your business. Very nice. So we've gone through parts 1, 2, and 3 here. So now parts 4 and 5, I think are going to be longer, I guess you could say. These ones, I don't know what you're thinking as you're watching this, but some of these might be a bit more on the obvious side where these two are stuff that you can't really find anywhere on the internet, which is part of why I'm making this live workshop. So let's go to leverage, and we need to define first. Leverage can be defined as the difference between what you put in versus what you get out. So we'll go over that in a minute. Leverage is what makes your business very, 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 very valuable. Most people have precisely 0 leverage, and that is why they are having a rough time, to say the least. So let's go to leverage. This is a nice little picture from someone named Raval Navikant. And if you don't know who that is, you can Google him yourself. But in the context of a B2B business, agency, or anything other than that, anything that deals with leads, that sells services to clients, it doesn't really even necessarily have to be B2B. There are going to be 4 types of leverage that really matter. So there's media leverage, there's capital leverage, there's labor leverage, and there's code leverage. So let's go back and write that down. So let's go to media leverage. We'll put that first. We'll do capital leverage second. We'll do labor leverage third. We'll do code leverage fourth. So essentially, the difference between what you put in versus what you get out. So let's do it with an example first. YouTube is a form of media leverage. I record / film a video one time, post it, and a couple thousand people typically watch it. So an example here is I don't have to get on a Zoom call and basically recite the exact same video to every single one of these couple thousand people. I record it once and however many people see it. That's the difference between what you put in and what you get out. And bigger the difference, the more leverage you have. It's one example of media leverage and why content is so important. At my previous agency I sold, I had a newsletter with over 397,000 people in the e-commerce niche reading it, and 397,000 people active within the last 30 days, not just a huge list of dead people, for example. Not dead people, but cold, churned, people who don't read it. Dead subscribers, I guess we could say. So that was very valuable for my business. This alone probably got me between $1 and $2 million in my exit just by having this. This is an asset. This is a form of media leverage that can be transferred. I don't need to be the face of my newsletter anymore. Anybody could just take it over. It added a lot of good stuff to my business. So for capital leverage, let's do another one. An ad funnel is a form of capital leverage. If you can spend $1 on ads and get $2 or more out of it, that is huge leverage. So if you can spend $1,000 per day on ads and get $2,000 per day in sales, or even if you can spend $1,000 per day in ads and get $100,000 per day in sales, unrealistic, but that's just an example. This is a form of capital leverage. You don't need to do anything. You need to make the ads work once, and then you scale them up. Like I said before, at my previous agency I sold, I was spending over $7,000 per day at the peak, not the whole time and not forever, profitably. This is a form of huge capital leverage that made my agency very valuable. Let's go to the next part. And there's a few different ones here. So let's go over a few of them. So hiring overseas, can't spell here, labor is a form of labor leverage. You are paying less to get the same thing in return in terms of work/output. That is a form of capital leverage. Another one is making partnerships is a form of labor leverage. If you have 10 partners, for example, you are just one person and you are benefiting from the time, labor, resources, etc. of the lemon businesses. 10 partners plus 0. That's a form of great capital labor leverage. Another thing, if you are really, really good at training people, that is a form of labor leverage in this context. If you can hire someone for $60,000 per year and train them up, and they will be providing you $150,000 per year in value, you are getting a lot more out than you put in, for example. So, like I said, at my previous agency I sold, I had 77 white label partners paid me $5,000 per month. At my previous agency I sold, I had a team of around 75 at any given time, and 60 out of those 75 were overseas talents. We'll go with talent here, overseas talent and labor. This saved me a lot of money in comparison to hiring Americans and Canadians. I hired quite a few Canadians as well. So, and then at my previous agency I sold, we had a lot of templates, training videos, and things like that to get the most out of our employees. So at my previous agency, I was taking advantage of a lot of this kind of leverage. So that made me grow very fast. $900K a month in less than 12 months. And it also essentially made it very valuable and easy to sell. I got 26 plus offers in like a week, and then kind of narrowed it down. Most of them were shit, but narrowed it down. So code leverage. Let's say if you could use a cold email software and lead scraper as opposed to having to hire a ton of people to manually scrape and send the emails, that is a form of code leverage. Anything software or code that can save you time is a form of code leverage. So I did just that. At my previous agency I sold, I was sending over 20,000 cold emails per day. This is way too many. Don't do it. Kind of overkill, but you can learn from my mistakes here. Just sending 20,000 up per day just kind of blows through, your entire target market really, really fast. Cold emails per day. And I was getting about one client per 5,000 emails sent. So I was getting about one phone call per 1,000 emails sent, and then closing 20% of them after accounting for no-shows for people who are just completely unqualified, for people who just didn't do it. 20% from cold emails is not a bad close rate at all. So you're saying there, if this is the case, I am getting 4 clients per day, Monday to Friday, with an average of, we'll just go 4.33, 21.5 business days per month. That is 86 clients per month from just cold email. Very good form of code leverage. And this is 100% true. I was getting over 200 individual landing page clients per month. And that's just my one-time service. So with my between my partnerships, between my paid ads and outreach and content and newsletter and that kind of stuff, we were getting over 200 individual one-time service clients per month. That's just very valuable. The more clients you get, the more value it is. So if you are the one watching this, and let's go back, building leverage in your business is amongst the most important things you can do. You can have how would I explain this? Different types of leverage, code, capital, labor, and media, but you can also have different degrees of leverage. So for example, if I go up to the drawing here, if I'm able to spend $1 on ads and get $2 out, if I was able to do that at $100 per day. So if I had an ad funnel that I was spending $100 per day and getting $200 per day out, that's a form of good leverage, of course. But we can also have to different degrees, right? If I was able to spend $100K a day, get $200K out, that's still capital leverage, but the degree is just so much more. If I had a YouTube channel that had 1,000 subscribers and got, 100 views a video, and that's a form of media leverage, I'm not going to deny that. But if I was like Alex Humlozi or Ibagad and got millions of subscribers, that's just more media leverage, and that's a lot better. So let's go into the final part, mistakes to avoid. And, you should probably pay the most attention to this part because it will save you a lot of heartbreak. So let's get right into some examples. The number one problem / thing to watch out for is things such as earnouts or churns. So a lot of my personal friends have gotten wrecked with these. So what this means basically is when you are selling, when you are looking to sell, especially a B2B business, there are two numbers that really matter. Your multiple, which is kind of what everybody understands, but also like the earnout / terms and conditions. So let's get into an example. It is not uncommon for someone to say they sold their business for $10 million, for example, to just keep it an easy to understand round number. But in reality, they got like $500K up front, and they only get the other $9.5 billion if certain terms and conditions are met. So this is very, very common. So the next time that you tell people, or if someone tells you, or you hear a success story about someone selling their company, think of what I'm about to tell you here. So, the less risk there is, the greater your multiple will be, and the more power you will have in negotiations. If we're going back to the multiple ways to acquire clients, the different revenue streams, the leverage, the more you have of that, the greater your position would be in negotiations. When you have greater power in negotiations, you do not have to accept any BS terms and conditions. The problem with this is a lot of the time they will say, we will pay you XYZ if X, Y, and Z conditions are met, but they will intentionally screw you over. So for example, and classic example of one of my friends, let's say he got 500,000 up front, because I'm not going to reveal his numbers, and then 9.5 million across 3 years. We will pay you 3.16 million after year one if we make 3 million in profit. We will pay you 3.16 million after year two if we make 3.5 million in profit. We will pay you, and this is sounding robotic, after year three if we make 4 million in profit. So this is like sounds reasonable. Like they should have to, your business is already doing $3 million for your profit. If you're getting 10 million for it, they should be growing, all that kind of stuff. Sounds fair, right? Well, it's not fair because you should never assume everyone is honorable and a good person. A lot of people are absolute animals and will screw you over. So for example, maybe, it comes, the last month of the year, we'll just call it December, and they're at 2.8 million. What they might do is just spend a lot of money there to get it under $3 million per year in profit. So they can say, well, we didn't make $3 million a year per more. Or even if it's based on a revenue, not profit, they can intentionally do something like not collect their accounts receivable, not collect any payment until January, just so they finish under the $3 million per year in revenue. Never assume everyone is honorable. People smarter and more capable than you have gotten screwed over. Don't downplay or be arrogant about this. There is no regulating authority watching over you and keeping you from being screwed. And that's just the reality of it. The deal you make is the deal you make, and you need to understand what you are doing. The deal can be whatever you want. If they asked you for, we're not paying you unless you give us 200 pink elephants. Like if you agree to that, that's the deal. And it sounded stupid, but the number one cause of this is not understanding what you are signing, and you're going to get screwed over. For my agency, I got 83.33% cash in my exit and 16.67% earn out, which I actually will probably get this July, unless they, do something of the above, intentionally screw me over. So when you are selling, you should always take your cash value as your exit value. Meaning if they, in this situation where I said they got 500K and I put 5 million, mentally, you should say, I'm selling this for 500K. Because there's no guarantees that you're going to get this. What if they go out of business? What if they're actually just stupid and run the business into the ground? They're not even intentionally screwing you over. They're just really stupid. Like, things do happen. So you should always take your cash value as your exit. And I had a ton of power in my negotiations as I was growing so fast with my ad funnels, cold emails, partnerships, etc., and had all of the different revenue streams. I didn't have a program. So I had a ton of power. Instead of, me begging people to sell or to buy my stuff, it was them begging me to sell it to them, basically. I had over 26 offers in the first week and could kind of pick and choose which ones I wanted to do and play them off against each other. This was not the case in the first two agencies I sold, because I didn't know all this stuff to build a great agency back then, but it certainly was the case in the last one. When you have all the leverage, the code, the capital, the media, the labor, etc., you have essentially flipped the script. A lot of the times they will lowball you and then delay until you get fed up with it and just accept their lowball offer. No one knows better than that selling your business is, one of the top, if not the top most important things you've ever done. And they plan. Why wouldn't, if you were on the other side, you play against it too. So a lot of the time will lowball you. So in my case, it was the exact opposite. I was growing very fast because I did everything that you've seen in this live workshop and video so far. I was growing very fast and they were desperate to close the deal as fast as possible, because the longer they wait, the more the price goes up. So if you are going to sell, obviously try and do so when things are going well and you are growing. Do not sell when they are plateaued and you don't know what to do. So I will also be sending you the recording of this, but this is really, if you want to sell a business one day and you want to set it up from the start so you can do it the right way type thing, this is what you should be doing. You should always be thinking in the terms of setting stuff up so there's as little risk as possible. And then even if you don't sell, little risk for you as possible is a good thing. You always want to have different ways to acquire clients, because you're just going to get more clients in general, but it's going to be less risky. If all your clients were on SEO and Google changed the algorithm, you're screwed. If all your clients are from Twitter and Twitter changed the algorithm, you're screwed. If all your clients are from Facebook ads and there was kind of like a glitch or the performance dipped, you're screwed. If all your clients are from cold emails, and it makes it a lot harder to, more saturated, more hard to get out of calls, you're screwed. We want to have different options. We don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak. Same with our revenue streams. If 100% of your revenue is from your main service and clients churn or job ends, then you're screwed. We want to have all of this other stuff as well. Where here, leverage, we want to have many different types of the 4 leverage as possible, but also as much leverage in each type as possible. It will help us grow faster, easier, and make our business more valuable, and all of that kind of stuff. Building leverage is the most important thing, and I'm going to take out the word amounts, because in my opinion, it is the most important thing that you can get. And then different types of leverage, all that kind of stuff. And then, assuming you take all this advice and it actually goes well, 3, 4, 5 years from now, maybe come back to this video, and when you're doing it, think of these things. Your multiple is important. Everybody obsesses about the multiple, but listen me to see. Now, this is more the reality for 90% of people who you probably admire who have sold their business. They get 5%, 10%, maybe 20% up front, but still go all over claiming that they got $10 million for it in this situation when they really got like $500K and then are about to get screwed and don't realize it. It's just the name of the game. That's life. And the more leverage you have, the less risk there is, the higher your multiple will be, and the more favorable terms and conditions you will get. If you are really, really good, you might not have to accept an earn-out or terms and conditions at all. I got 83.3%, and I probably could have got 100%, but I was only running the business for a year, a little under a year, and that's kind of risky in and of itself, because it's not, how long could this person keep it up is something that, it's a form of risk. If I was running it for 3 or 5 years, okay, this business has legs, it can run for 3 to 5 years, so that's the only part I got dinged in, the fine balance and line here, though, between, okay, this is a proven business versus, okay, this guy's been stuck at $1 million per year for 10 years. That's not great either. So there's a fine line. So this workshop has lasted 45 minutes so far, and I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope this was very valuable to you. I'm going to be doing more live workshops on different topics Monday to Friday, and I'm going to be sending you the recordings. If you want to sign up for the other ones, you basically sign up for them the same way you're going to do it now. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.